What's up, YouTube? Here with the War God or Bujin deck profile. I know these have been out on DN for a while, but quite frankly, I've never looked at them before the past like 48 hours. I think I've played against the deck once. Finally, I decided to build it. It looked like something that could be interesting. As I'm starting to do this video, Busfair just uploaded his. His is what's going to be the almost next current TCG build only, so it's a little bit different than mine. But I noticed there was quite a few things he did that weren't things that I did, and weren't things that I would do even if I weren't playing the Judgment of the Light and later Bujin support stuff. So there's just different ways, I guess, to take on the deck. But other than seeing Busfair's profile in the last 5 minutes, I've never seen another actual deck profile of this. I just haven't really paid attention to it. So off the top of my head, I mean, you have to play 3 Yamato. It's sort of your heart and soul of the deck. If you don't have Yamato, you're not really doing anything. It's pretty much a deck that just likes to sit behind one monster and just control the board with that, or at least attempt to. One of the next support cards is Mikazuchi. If you lose a Beast Warrior Bujin monster by battle or card effect, you can special him from your hand. And then during the end phase, if a Bujin was sent from your hand to the graveyard during the turn while he was on the field, you can search for any of their spell or trap support. He just helps for follow-up plays in case you start to lose advantage. Any more than that, he just gets cloggy. I like to play the deck with a ton of hand trap battle tricks. Of course, anybody that plays this deck is going to be playing Triple Crane. It makes your Yamato's 3600s. It makes your Susanoo's 4800s. It's a ridiculously good card. But to back that up, I'm also playing Yada's. It's kind of cool seeing Yada come back, but as a support for a new archetype. Originally, I was playing 3 Yada. Originally, there was a lot of extra things I was doing in the deck, but I really wanted to keep it at 40, so I had to make some cuts. And the 3rd Yada ended up being the last cut that I made to make the deck down to 40. Rather than doubling your monster's attack, it negates the attack against it and then causes your opponent to take damage equal to half of the attack of the monster that they were attacking with. So again, it's just a little bit of battle tricks. I really like that, and of course honest, because the deck is pretty much everything light. Onto our Graveyard Banish effect Bujins, there's Quillin and Turtle. Quillin allows you to blow things up so long as you control a Bujin Beast Warrior, and Turtle allows you during either player's turn to negate something that targets one of your Bujin monsters. So both really good cards, but you don't want to play any more than like 2. 1 feels like it's almost not enough. You're not going to see it. Whereas 3, they tend to get cloggy in your hand, so you pretty much have to play 2 2s there. I've opted to play 2 Bear. I know in a lot of decks that utilize Tenkis for search, especially like Constellars, a lot of people will play 1 Bear. The problem with Bear at 1 is it's a bait. It's a magnet for things like Bottomless and Effect Failure and whatnot. And in that case, you can pretty much expect to lose your first Bear, at which point I like to have a backup. And the alternate idea behind that is I want to draw a Bear. That way I'm never in a position where I need to search it with Tenki. I want to activate the Tenki and search something like an extra copy of Yamato. But at that point, I just want to be able to summon Bear and blow stuff up. So that's why we play 2 Bear. Something that I noticed Busfair didn't do, and something I don't think I've ever seen done, the rarity that I've ever played the deck on DN, was I opted to play Tour Guides. Simply because the deck does have really good Banish effect monsters with Quillin and Turtle. And in that case, I wanted to be able to play Leviair. And at the same time, early I wanted to be able to play some defense. Thus Zenmain and Fortune Tune. I think these two complement each other really well. Depending on what the game state is, you pick which one you're going to go into. Usually I like to go into Fortune Tune really early if I open with Tour Guide. Like if I open Tour Guide, I'll go into Fortune Tune rather than summon the Yamato most of the time. I really like this card. I will probably make room for a Leviathan Dragon in the extra deck at some point, just in case I need a beater out of the Tour Guide, but I just haven't done that yet. Last 2 monsters, Maxis, you have to play Maxis. This deck, like I said before, it likes to sit behind 1 monster, thus I'm playing dualities. Once I go into Yamato, I just want to search for pieces that are going to help me control with that. Avarice, I have these 6 plus Maxis, so 7 hand traps really here that I want to recycle. I want to recycle Bears in case. I want to recycle Tutor Guides in case. If for whatever reason I run out of something here in the extra I want to recycle, this deck it builds up a pretty big graveyard pretty quick. So Avarice, I think it's a good call. Even though I hate Avarice, this is one deck that I feel like it's a good call to play in. Triple Tenki, search for your Amados, search for your Mikazuchi, and search for your Bears. I'm playing one copy of Bujin Carnation. This is like the Heraldry Reborn, or whichever Heraldry support for XYZ card they have. You can bring back a banished and a graved Bujin monster, but they can only be used for Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast Succeed monsters. I only have the 4 banishes, so I don't want to play a bunch of Carnations. These guys will get banished a lot, and then this lets you bring them back, and then they go back to the graveyard, and that's all great. But I don't want to be drawing this card before I have a setup that allows me to actually use it. So in that case, I just don't want it clogging. I want it to be there as a comeback. I try to hold on to it in case I'm in a position where things start to go south. Then I'll go ahead and drop that to try and recontrol the field. Heavy Storm, standard traps, and then finally is one copy of Bujin Regalia the Sword. Pretty much what Sword does is it adds Crane back to my hand. Otherwise, it puts Turtle back in my graveyard to negate future Big Eyes. Those are pretty much the 2 things that I use Sword for. If I had everything in the deck that I wanted in the deck, I would probably be playing a Lance or 2. I noticed Busfair did that as well. I would play a 3rd Yada. I would play a 2nd Sword. But I would play any number, probably as many as 3. Like, I would love to play the playset of Horn of the Phantom Beasts. But at that point, the deck sits at like 46 cards or something, and that wasn't going to happen. So I made the cuts that I felt were necessary to get it to 40 and make it pretty much the best deck it can be. I mean, there's options that I would like to have, but I think in the long run just aren't the right options that you need to be taking the time to deck. The extra deck, we played 2 Susanoo. It can attack everything, and it can detach to Search or Foolish, which is awesome for the deck. The deck also has one other, this guy over here, Kagutsuchi. On summon, he mills 5, which I think is complete trash. I only play 4 that I want in the graveyard to begin with, so it's retarded. And then he has the yoke effect, where he can save a Bujin if everything's being destroyed. But overall, I think that guy's trash. As my alternate sort of specific rank 4, I opted to play Tiger King instead. I can take complete field negations, and I can search for an extra Tenki. So, much better than this guy. Then standard stuff. You got Maestro, Cowboy, Dweller, Pap, Paladynamo, because everything is light here. Same thing with Constellar Omega. Corn, Sky Pegasus. This card is a lot better when you're actually playing Horn of the Phantom Beast. But either way, he puts a lot of pressure in late game, which is why he's really good for the deck. Beater, and then some tour guide targets. Side deck, Veilers. Right now I've opted to not play Droll and Lockbirds. I just don't have the room to side them effectively. In the same sense, if I was really worried about Prophecy, I could play Box, Crazy Box inside EEVs. But I just don't find that to be anywhere near consistent at all. This deck, it sets up really slow. You sit behind Yamato, and then you pitch hand traps to deal a lot of damage, and you blow a couple things up with Quillen and with Bear, and you win that way. You're not going out and making exceed plays very often, and when you are, Crazy Box isn't going to be the right play to make, and you're not going to be able to do that consistently enough to set up EEV versus Prophecy, so I don't really think that's worthwhile. We have Kaiku's, because Kaiku's freaking awesome for this format. For a while I cited Thunder Kings, but I ended up dropping them. I searched too much with Tenki and Yamato and whatnot. I opted to side one copy of Mirror. This is another new card that they're going to be getting. It's Cold Wave, but it's searchable, which is awesome. But they have to have more monsters than you do, so I think it's a little hard to set up, and that condition on it isn't as great as it sounds. I mean, it is Cold Wave, but for some reason it doesn't play the way you would think it would. You got standard Spell Trap, Removal, MSTs, Dark Hole, and then pretty much Dragon Hate. You got Iron Walls, Vanity's Emptiness, and Goes to Match. So let me know what you guys think. Oh, another thing. A couple of things that I chose not to play. Bujin Fidel, I don't really care for at all. It just allows you to dodge something and bring something else back. Really not worth it at all. For a while, I played One Boar. It allows you to flip something to defense and make its defense 0. It is a decent card, but in the end, I ended up cutting it. It kind of pairs with Ibis, which gives piercing, but this card's complete trash. Centipede is spell trap removal, but it again just doesn't play very well. The best of the cards that I chose not to play is Ophidan. He allows you to attack direct by pitching him. Potentially, I would make room for 1 copy, but you're never going to play more than 1 copy of this. He's your finisher tech. And then the last trash card of the archetype is Wolf. They can't be destroyed by battle. I mean, he has 2,000 defense, which is okay. But you want him in defense, so you got to set him. They need to run into it. Then he's going to sit there, and then you're going to try and make other plays around it. But again, the deck runs really slow, so you're not going to be able to set up these multi-piece things for protection very well. But anyways, so that's everything. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace out.